What's the delay like on that?
See, now that's a popular misconception about flintlocks. When the gun is clean, there is no delay. It's just as quick as a cap lock.
All right, what is up, everybody? Mark on the mic here. Mr. Clay Hayes next to me. We are reporting live, at least live to us. We're at Argali HQ in the great state of Idaho.
Yeah.
You spend a fair amount of time in the state, Clay.
I've been around, yeah, a little bit.
Topic of today's podcast, black powder, like flintlock, black powder, primitive hunting. You've been doing a fair amount of this, Clay. You've got a video on your YouTube channel. At last I checked, 1.8 million views.
Yeah, it's doing good.
People are pretty interested in this one.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in muzzleloader hunting, but my Lord, Clay, even with like the most modern inline muzzleloaders, I still have trouble getting those things going a little bit. In fact, I even had, what was it, last January, something like that. I think I got my powder charge compromised and went to shoot a doe, and it kind of looked like, when like a Roman candle like doesn't go off, like it just kind of
fizzles out the end. Yeah.
The doe, she like jumped the bullet, like she reacted to the shot, and then you see the bullet like hit below her. Like it was like, anyway. So where I'm going with this is like, sometimes I'm thinking, oh man, like a flintlock hunt, that's be so cool, I should do that. And then I'm also like, man, with as modern as I can get a muzzleloader, I still have issues with it.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have issues with anything that you hunt with. That's just part of hunting. You just gotta, whatever you decide to hunt with, you just gotta accept the limitations and build your hunt within that. Yeah,
I reckon that's correct. How much flintlock hunting have you done? Is that something you've been doing for a while, or you got into it? You do a lot of your self bow, kind of more primitive archery stuff, but what about the black powder stuff?
Yeah, so my main deal is bow hunting. That's what I do primarily. But in Idaho, we have a lot of times if you get an A tag, you'll have your archery season, and then if you don't tag out during the archery season, there'll be some kind of muzzleloader opportunity. That's pretty common in Idaho. I've been playing around with muzzleloaders and especially flintlocks. I think I built the rifle that I shoot now, the flintlock rifle that I shoot now. I think I built it in right around 2000 or something like that. Had a friend help me, but actually the first deer I ever killed was with a muzzleloader. That was in Florida.
No kidding, huh?
Yeah. That was just by happenstance. I was actually. We were hunting on public land down there, and I had been rifle hunting, but the deer, I think I was 14 at the time. The deer were pressured, super pressured. And so it was really hard to get a shot, during rifle season, because you know how deer are. They know exactly what is going on. They don't show themselves. And after the rifle season, there was a muzzleloader season, and just happened to shoot a buck during that season. So that was awesome. What
muzzleloader was that you were running then?
That was just an old CVA. I don't remember. It was the cheapest muzzleloader that you could buy. I think it cost like $100 new.
Nice.
It was a plastic stock. The thing was like super front heavy because the stock was just like this thin plastic. But within 50 yards or so, it was fairly accurate. I think I shot that deer at, I don't know, it was close. It was like 10 yards.
Oh, no kidding, huh?
Yep.
Buck or doe?
It was a buck. And so this, where I grew up hunting, started hunting was in the Florida Panhandle. And this was on Eglin Air Force Base. And Eglin is, a large part of Eglin is like ancient sand dunes. And the soil quality there is terrible. And so you have, for example, you'll have like an 80-year-old pine tree that's like that big around.
Oh, wow.
They just don't grow, and the deer are the same. And so this buck,
like 80-year-old pine, that was like a 6-inch diameter tree.
Yeah, they're super tight growth. The soil quality there is just so low, and they get a lot of rainfall, but it's sand. So if you can get an inch of rainfall, and if you don't get another inch within like a week, you're in drought conditions because it just doesn't hold the water. But the reason I say all this stuff is because that buck that I shot was a mature 5.5-year-old buck. It was a 4x4. We call it 8-point in the South. And he dressed out at 98 pounds.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they're tiny down there, man.
That is crazy. I mean, you do hear about like, you know, regionality, things like that, like Wisconsin, where we're based out of. Every time I get a buck on the ground, like I am astounded by the size. They're like the size of cow elk, I swear. Like, I mean, they're really large critters. And in contrast, you get down into Florida, which I've never hunted Florida.
There's some parts of the state where they've got big bodies, but not in that particular spot.
Not in that particular spot. Okay. Or like a coos deer, you know, those astound me in a different way because they actually don't look small when you're shooting at them. But then when you get up to them, you're like, oh, this thing's just itty bitty.
It's like
The muzzleloader that you built, what all went into that process? I mean, I imagine you could buy a flintlock muzzleloader.
Yep. And building is a little bit. I shouldn't say I built it. I more assembled it and finished it. So I bought a kit from a custom gun maker, and it was so long ago. And I wasn't actually the one that ordered the kit. I had an older friend, Jerry Morrell, who was into that type. He was into muzzleloaders and all that stuff, and he actually ordered it for me. So I don't even remember where it came from. I just remember it was right around there, 99, 2000, somewhere in that time period. But I had to do some of the inletting for the lock and the trigger, fit that in there, do the finish inletting for the barrel, so carving it out so everything fits just right in there, and then finishing off the stock and doing all that stuff. But they're fun to play with. It's there's definitely some nuances to get them to shooting just right. But as far as like accuracy and reliability, if you know what you're doing and you don't expose them to like, you know, nasty weather, if you're careful, you know, you can hunt with them in nasty weather. You just got to be careful with them. They're pretty reliable.
I was going to say that hunt that's on your YouTube channel, that looked like pretty nasty weather.
It was snowing and the wind was blowing, but it was so cold that it was dry. I mean, it was a dry cold. That I had another hunt that I didn't get on film, but this was, it was not long after I moved to North Idaho, so it probably would have been 2010, 2012, something like that. I was hunting whitetails in late November and had worked my way down this draw and got this buck up out of his bed, and it was like blizzard conditions, but it was just on that verge of like, you know, 28 to 30 degrees where the snow is not, I mean, it's going to hit you and then it's going to melt. So it's kind of like a wettish type of stuff. And this buck jumped up out of his bed and he bounded off a couple bounds and he stopped at 50 yards. And of course, as soon as I saw him, I cocked the gun and I was standing there like ready. And when he stopped, he was facing dead away from me. And so I'm just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, and the gun's cocked, and like I've got it against a tree, just waiting. And the whole time it is just dumping like these cotton ball size snowflakes onto my rifle, and it's just like piling up. You know, it's snowing so hard. And he sits there for a good 10 minutes. And so finally he turns a little bit, and I make my final adjustments to aim, and I go, and it doesn't go off. And I cock it back again, doesn't go off. I dropped the hammer 5 times, and he just stood there the whole time. And finally, on the 6th shot, it went off, and I killed that buck.
No way.
Yeah.
What was he hearing that?
Oh yeah. He knew. I think the weather. He just didn't want to move.
Yeah.
You know, it was just nasty weather, and he just wanted to be holed up in his bed. And it was after the majority of the hunting season. So there wasn't, you know, they were already kind of calmed down a little bit, kind of starting to transition into their winter range. But yeah, he let me get away with a lot. And that was just one of those circumstances where there was nothing I could do about it. If I could go back, all I would have had to do was sit there with my hand over the lock. But I didn't think about it because I was ready. And I thought he would turn at any minute.
Right.
But he just sat there for, 10 minutes.
Well, and when something happens like that, like you said, you're expecting to have mere seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Of being in that position, like, oh my gosh, there's a buck right there, cock, then to have to sit there and wait. So maybe if you can, like you're talking about the lock and some of the different components, if you can, like, talk us through like those different parts, because it's pretty unique how that entire system works. Even compared to, I guess other muzzleloaders.
Yeah. So most people that are familiar with muzzleloaders would probably be familiar with the cap lock, or the more modern inline muzzleloaders, which is just basically it's basically a cap lock, but the nipple where you would put the cap is just behind the charge, and it's more sheltered, I guess, than a traditional cap lock muzzleloader. So a flintlock. The way a flintlock relates to a cap lock is so let me back up. So a cap lock muzzleloader, you've got a rotating hammer. Mm-hmm. You have to pull the hammer back, and then you've got a percussion cap that goes on a little nipple, right? So it just slips over the side. So on a traditional cap lock muzzleloader, you would have your nipple on the side of the barrel. It goes down, makes a 90-degree turn, and then shoots into the charge, and that 90-degree turn can cause problems sometimes. And so that's the big advantage to an inline, is because you get a straight shot right into from the ignition, the spark, right into that main charge. And so there's less opportunities for failure.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like put together. It's modern cartridge in a way.
Exactly. It's a modern cartridge. It's put together exactly like a modern cartridge. It's just built in the rifle. And so a flintlock would predate the cap lock, and it's basically, instead of that nipple going into the side of your barrel, you have what's called a flash pan and a frizzen.
Right.
And then your hammer holds a piece of stone, a piece of flint. And so your frizzen hinges on the front of this flash pan, kind of like this.
Right.
And so you'd load your normal charge in the barrel. So normally I'll shoot 100 grains of black powder and whatever projectile I'm shooting over that. And then in your flash pan, you'd put another separate charge, much smaller, like just a tiny little measure of powder in the flash pan.
Just a little bit of loose powder in there. Okay.
So then the frizzen closes over the flash pan and kind of somewhat seals it up. It's not sealed, but it's held in place. And then off the top of that cover, there's another little piece of metal. It's all part of the same thing. That then your flash pan will be down here, your piece of metal sticking up here, your flint is here. When you drop the hammer, it comes and strikes the frizzen, shaves off metal, pushes it up, and that metal shaves off, creating sparks, and it shoots it down into your flash pan.
Okay, so the flint actually hits the frizzen.
Yep.
Creates that spark and kind of even pushes it out of the way a little bit.
Pushes it out of the way, shaves off that metal, pushes it into the flash pan, ignites the flash pan. That goes through the flash hole to the main charge. Gun goes bang. Hopefully you're on target, and whatever's at the end of it's now in the dirt.
Yes. What's the delay like on that?
See, now that's a popular misconception about flintlocks. When the gun is clean, there is no delay. It's just as quick as a cap lock, or I guess even you could probably measure it by some, I don't know, some sort of ultra accurate measuring device. But as far as like the human reaction time, you can't match that.
So you're not having to, like, for whatever reason, I was picturing it like, you're like pulling the trigger and having to like almost like stay on, like hold and wait for it to go.
If the gun's clean, there's no delay at all.
Okay.
Where you start getting the delay is like if I'm out there in my backyard shooting and I shoot a couple times and don't really wipe things down, you start getting this buildup of powder residue. your flash hole gets kind of gummed up and stuff like that. That's when you can have those where you go click, bang.
And is that almost like a hang fire then or something?
I don't know what a hang fire is, but I know you click, you drop the hammer, it makes the spark. There's a flash, and then it goes pow. Like it's almost like a fuse, go into the main charge. But again, you're never going to do that while you're hunting because 99.9% of the time, it's going to be your first shot. It's going to happen like that.
Gotcha.
And if you do happen to have a follow-up shot, even still, you're probably not going to get that type of a delay. I mean, I don't get that type of delay unless I'm shooting a lot and I'm just not, wiping things down. And that's all you got to do. Like when I'm out messing with a new load or trying to make sure things are sighted in or something like that, I'll shoot and then take a damp swab, run it down the barrel, come back out, wipe the lock down just a little bit or the flash pan, and I'm good to go.
And is that just water that you're doing that with?
Just water.
Okay.
Yeah. Just make sure it's not wet, just damp,
Okay.
And then reload it and you're ready to shoot again.
Are you using any alcohol ever or just water to do that?
Not just water for that. Yeah.
Okay. What, you were talking a little bit about your load. So 100 grains of black powder and only actual black powder, right? Not a substitute, or can you use
you could use, I guess you could use Pyrex and that type of stuff. I guess I have never done it.
Yeah.
So I assume it would work in a flintlock. I don't know. I've never done that.
Okay. Gotcha. And then 100 grains. And then what kind of projectile are you shooting then?
Well, I've killed elk and bears and deer and stuff with patched round balls, and a lot of the purists will shoot. That's what they shoot all the time, and they're very good at it. I'm not as good as those guys. Like the guys that are really into muzzleloaders can get very accurate with just a patched round ball. Mm-hmm. My groups at 100 yards with a patched round ball are terrible. They're like a foot, 14 inches sometimes. I mean, it's bad. But if I shoot a maxi ball, which is just a little sabot, basically like a belted sabot, it doesn't have. It's not like a power belt, where there's an extra piece of stuff because that, or
like a sabot or whatever.
Yeah, it's not like a sabot. I've probably been saying it wrong my whole life.
Sabot, sabot, I think it's pretty interchangeable.
So there's no cup that the shot sits in. Okay. It's just a piece of lead that's formed in a cone shape, basically.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same size, same diameter as your barrel. Put that in there, and I'm shooting, 2 or 3 inch groups at 100 yards with that flintlock. So massive difference.
Yeah, that is a massive difference.
And I think it's a big part of that is just because I have never really gone in depth in trying to get good groups with a patch round ball, like the thickness of your patch, the type of lube that you use, all of that stuff is super important. But with those maxi balls, like I just put them in there and I'm shooting 3 inches at 100 yards and I'm good.
And you're just able to push that right on top of the powder then? You don't need a patch or anything like that?
Yep. Just push it right in on top of the powder. And it's because the bottom of that is dished out a little bit. Uh-huh. Whenever that charge goes off, it flares out and seals the gases, and away you go.
Gotcha. I mean, it almost sounds like the way you're describing it, I'd want to look at it, but it almost sounds like a power belt without the plastic skirt, though. Like almost the way that you're describing the shape and how it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 inches at 100, that's better. Like I was thinking 12 inches at 100. I don't know,
No, you could. That's on a bench. I mean, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that freehand.
Right.
But as long as I've got a good bench, a solid rest, I can do that pretty consistently. Nice.
What the flint part of the equation, is that something do you have to buy one that's cut a specific way to be fitted in there so it strikes that frizzen just right, or do you make that yourself or find the flint yourself? Or
I've never made them because I don't have the right type of stone around where we are. I just buy them, and they're made a specific way. They're square, and they're chipped out. They're not sawn and ground out. They're actually chipped and napped, but it's square, and then one side is beveled so that when it strikes, you want it to strike flat on that frizzen, get a good bite, so it shaves that metal off. Yeah.
The muzzleloader that you used in that video, quite a bit longer than the ones I've been toting around the woods.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that, or it's just the style? Like that was like a traditional one, or are you getting some performance out of that because of that longer gun?
Today, with the consistency in black powder, and I should preface this with I'm not a black powder expert. This is just, I've picked up things over the years, but my understanding is today with the black powder, the consistency of it, there's really no reason to have a long barrel like that. But these guns were developed, a couple hundred years ago with the black powder consistency and, across manufacturers, whoever was making it, or the quality of it may not have been as good. And so with a short barrel, you may not have gotten all your powder burned before your bullet got out the end of the thing, the end of the barrel. And so they needed that long barrel to have a longer burn time to get the full benefit out of that charge. And so that one in that gun is the barrel in that's 42 inches, which would have been, that's Kentucky rifle or, Tennessee rifle, sometimes called. I have a 20 gauge Fowler, which is a shotgun, smoothbore, and that one's got a 46 inch barrel. So it is like a freaking boat paddle. This thing is long. When you put the stock on the ground, it's like that tall.
Yeah.
So, but that thing's super fun. I took it turkey hunting this last year and ended up shooting a bird with it.
So wait, that is it's a shotgun then?
So I have I have two different ones. The 46 inch barrel is a Fowler, a shotgun.
Okay.
You could shoot shot in it, or you could shoot a 62 caliber round ball out of it if you wanted to. And then the rifle that I was elk hunting with, that's a 50 caliber, and it's actually got a rifled barrel.
Okay, gotcha.
Rather versus the smoothbore. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so the other one's that's interesting. That's cool that you can shoot shot or a large diameter round ball out of that thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty versatile.
Yeah, the big difference is, that rifling makes a big difference in your accuracy.
Right.
And so I don't know. I've shot round balls out of that thing before, but I haven't done it in a long time. I don't even remember what the accuracy was. But, if I'm going to go deer hunting or elk hunting or something, I'm going to take the rifle.
For sure.
Yeah.
That when you load up and get ready to go, like you said, you put that smaller charge in the pan, I guess, close the frizzen on it.
Yep.
But it's not completely sealed, so it could be compromised by, rain or things like that. But then also, is it closing it enough that if you tilt the gun one way or another, it's not gonna your charge isn't just gonna spill out?
Yeah, it's closed enough, and the black powder grains are coarse enough so that it's not gonna. You can do anything you want to with it, and it's not gonna. Your powder's gonna be there, But as far as wet weather, that's the real big issue with flintlocks. I guess all muzzleloaders, but especially flintlocks, because they're so much more exposed to the elements. And traditionally, guys would have carried what's called a cow's knee, which is just kind of an angled piece of leather that would fit over the lock and kind of protect that, an piece of oiled leather. But if you're still hunting and you could have an animal jump up at any time, you don't want that thing on top of your lock. And so oftentimes what I do is if I have a coat on or something, I'll just tuck the lock up underneath my arm and walk with it like that. So that way it's kind of protected there. And there's one time I was elk hunting and I was walking through this deadfall down timber, and it had snowed, so it's snow all over the ground. It's super sketchy, kind of slippery. And I was walking through this deadfall, and I slipped and had the gun underneath my arm like that. And when I slipped, my gun spanned two. I had a piece of deadfall here and one here, and my gun spanned it, and I went right down, and it just cracked it broke it in two.
Oh my gosh!
And broke it right at the neck of the stock. And so in my little pouch where I carried all my shot and powder and all that stuff, I had a little screwdriver that I used to change the flints. And I had like some wool strips hanging from my the bag that I carry everything in. So I took all the furniture off the gun, the trigger guard, and took the lock out and all this stuff. And this is in the field, you know. I like pieced it back together as best I could, put the trigger guard back on there, wrapped wool strips around it and tied it down, cinched it down, and then just kept hunting.
No way.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
I didn't end up shooting anything, but I patched the gun up. And then when I got home, I just like took it all apart and glued it back up. You know, that's all I ever did with it. And I still hunting with it. And that was probably 10 years ago.
And is that the one that you were hunting with? Is that same gun then?
Yeah. Yep.
No kidding.
Yep.
You busted that stock in two and you got it back together.
Yep.
With glue.
Yep. And if you look at it, like you can even see it in the video. There's like a lighter portion around the neck of that stock, and that's just where I sanded when I glued, I sanded that glue line down, and I never re-stained it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was that a special muzzleloader season that you were hunting for that?
For that cow?
For that cow, yeah?
Or the video? Yeah, it was one of the late seasons up there. Like I was talking about earlier, Idaho's got you can get two different tags, A and a B tag, and I always get the A tag because you get that archery hunt, and then oftentimes, depending on what tag you can get a late muzzleloader as well. Okay,
gotcha. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I should have remembered that. Yeah, that was a cool video. Like it's just something you don't see that often. Like not too many folks are toting those around the woods anymore.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I mean, they're fun. They're definitely more finicky than an inline or even a cap lock, but it's just, I don't know what it is about those old stuff like that. I just like it. It's fun to play with. I don't know, there's something wrong with me.
You definitely seem to be drawn to the challenge of, it's like, oh, it's not like I'm just going to bow hunt. It's like, no, I'm going to bow hunt with a self bow that I made, potentially with arrows that you made. And maybe we'll transition a little bit. Maybe we'll go back to the muzzleloader stuff, but to some projects that you're working on right now. I've seen a little bit on your social media platforms. It looks like you're always doing the most primitive thing, and then now I feel like you're trying to find another way to make it even more primitive.
Well, yeah. So I've taken a lot of animals with wooden bows, self bows that I make myself, but it's never been like truly primitive. Like the bows that I make are all natural materials, but I make them with modern tools, and it's really the bows that I make are really a modern design. I mean, historically, you'd never, I don't believe anyway, you'd never have found like an arrow shelf cut into a bow, and all of my bows have arrow shelves. I mean, it's basically made like a modern longbow. It's just made with wood. And so what I want to do, and what my goal is, and hopefully I can do it by this December, I'm going to attempt to build a bow and arrows with only stone tools. So it's basically, I'm making a Stone Age setup with Stone Age tools and technology. That's what I'm trying to do. So we're talking, making a bow with only pieces of rock as scrapers, and maybe maybe some antler wedges, something like that. I'm going to be flint napping arrowheads. We're tying them on with sinew, using pine pitch or birch tar for glue, sinew bowstring. I mean, the whole 9 yards. And then hopefully I'm going to try to shoot a deer this December with that. We're going to see how it goes.
That is quite the project. I just, every time I see what you're up to, I'm like, oh man, that's just like the absolute most challenging, most difficult way to do it. And yet I feel like you're trying to sort out another way to make it even harder.
It's challenging, but I don't even know if that's really why I do it. I just like I've always liked to do that type of stuff, you know. And for me, I do it for more than just because it's a challenging thing to do. I mean, so if I wanted to make it only about challenge, I could say, okay, well, I'm only gonna shoot a 350-inch bull or better this fall. Mm-hmm. Like that would be a huge challenge. I mean, I'd have to hunt really hard to make that happen. But what I don't like about that is that when I only get the feeling like I'm really hunting when I'm trying to kill something. Like when I see an animal and I'm trying to kill it. And so I may not even see that animal that that 350 bull or better. I may not see him the entire season. And so I never get into that spot where I'm stalking and really trying to get in and get close, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But with the stuff that I do, like any legal animal that I see, I'm going to try to kill it because I have to get super close, right? And so I'm like constantly in that stalk mode, you know. That's one of the big reasons that I do it. And then the other one is this stuff is for some reason has just always been of interest to me.
It is super interesting. And I mean, is it just kind of like a connection to the past a little bit and just gaining a greater understanding of what, you know, those that came before us, like, you know, what they went through and not what they went through, but like what they had to do to make these, you know, weapons so that they could hunt and survive? Is it gaining that understanding that you desire as well? Or,
you know, I don't know if I can give you a good answer to that. I mean, people just have their different interests and affinities, and this was mine from my earliest memories. I mean, I've always just had an interest in archery, especially, but all kind of like pioneer skills and primitive anything. I mean, making traps and all that, all sorts of stuff. I mean, when I was a kid, I was out in the woods making like deadfalls and snares and probably catching the neighbor's cats, you know, but the world could do with a few less cats anyway.
Hey, you know, I mean, actually, I've been wanting to do a podcast on the impacts of feral cats on native songbird populations. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, no, it's a real thing. Well, it's definitely served you well. I mean, my goodness, it's like you've built a career out of it. You've got your amazing, you know, YouTube channel. You won the TV show Alone, which I think that was obviously that's like I don't know, that's like some sort of crazy like final or something that you know, but
final exam.
So yeah, you've definitely I think you have a knack for it. And when you were talking a little bit earlier about, you know, the challenge or kind of like turning the hunt into like you're always hunting. Like, I guess I'll take for like Wisconsin, and I don't pass up a ton of deer in Wisconsin, but I'll pass up deers or, you know, deers, that's plural. But like, you know, you have does come by, like, maybe that buck's going to come by. And I was actually even thinking about that on the way here. Like, Jim and I went to Florida. We built those self bows with you, and I'm like, man, I really need to give that thing its due and get out and spend some time with it. And I was thinking how cool it would be and how great of an accomplishment it would be to just like get a doe with it. Like, it would be like I could, and I might spend an entire season doing that. Yep. Versus, like you said, you're kind of waiting, like, maybe that, you know, big buck's going to come by. And big buck for me is like, you know, any 3-year-old buck is in danger, and you better not send a 2-year-old by either. You know what I mean? But,
well, it's people, I don't know. I think it's easy for people to, be influenced by, outside perceptions a lot of times. And I think that drives a lot of, you know, people going after big animals. Mm-hmm. Like I would love to kill a 350-inch bull with my self bow. Like, that's on my bucket list. I'm going to kill a big elk someday, but he's just going to happen to be the first one that I can get a good shot at.
Right.
But when you like, I just like hunting and being in like that final pursuit as much as I can.
Right.
And it's just like I said earlier, it's difficult to get there if I were to limit myself to only a certain type of animal or whatever. And I think if you do that, if you say, okay, this is my year, I'm going to commit myself to getting a deer with a self bow or whatever. Like when you finally get that done, like I really truly believe that doe, let's say it's a doe, I think that deer would mean more to you than many of the trophy bucks that you've taken by other means. Because, and I 100% believe that what you get out of something is directly dependent on what you put into it. And when you put that much into it, I mean, you started with just a hunk of a tree, you built a bow, you hunted hard, probably had some upsets, and then finally made it happen. Like you'll remember that. And that was like that for me. I started bow hunting. I think I killed one deer with a compound when I was like 15 or something. And then I started hunting with self bows when I was 18 or 19. But it took me years to kill a deer. And when I finally got it done, like I remember that, like it was yesterday, 20 something years later.
Right. Man, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I think, even as I've gotten older, it's the method that, is the driving force, like it's great to get one, right? But, and I love rifle hunting, I love rifle hunting. I love bow hunting. I love muzzleloader hunting. I, dabble in all of them, but, it's definitely, the method is more important, or the place or the how has definitely become more important over time, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in the situation where they, they might have limited opportunity, limited time, and putting meat in the freezer is important. And I totally get that. Like I'm just in a situation where I can hunt by these methods and still put enough meat in the freezer to, where we have plenty of meat. And I've asked myself that question before, is like, if it came right down to it, me hunting with a flintlock or a traditional bow or something, or being able to put meat in the freezer, what would I choose? And I'm lucky I don't have to make that decision, but I think I'd have to choose putting meat in the freezer, just because that's what we eat and that's what we need, versus fulfilling my own desires to hunt that, particular way. So I get why people do it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's something to think about too. It's like, a lot of people, like you said, you got work, you got family obligations, whatever, what have you. And if you've got a compressed timeline, a compressed timeline can be that factor that can make things really challenging as well. Yeah, I don't know. Like every time I see you do something like that, though, like it does. I think there is some sort of innate, primal element to it that you just like there. I feel like there is kind of like a connection to the past there.
There is. I mean, so one cool that reminds me talking about that. We were. There's been several times when I've been out bow hunting with a simple wooden bow that I've made, and I found arrowheads. And it's like, it always puts me into the mind, like thinking about the guy that lost this maybe 5,000 years ago. And he's like, for instance, one time we were way up in this basin. We were almost in the Alpine. We were standing on an elk trail that was literally worn into the stone. I mean, it had been there for thousands of years. And we'd standing there, and there were elk down below us, waiting on them to make a move. And my buddy looks down, there's an obsidian arrowhead between his feet on this elk trail. And like, we are standing in very near the spot where probably he lost that arrowhead, feeling the same emotions that he's feeling, probably thinking the very same thoughts he's thinking.
Right.
Like, what's the wind doing? What are these animals going to do? I mean, you're living that same life in that moment that guy was living 5,000 years ago. Like, that's for me anyway. That's pretty freaking powerful.
That is. Yeah, that is so cool. It always crosses my mind, every now and again I'll loose an arrow and lose that arrow. And I'm always like, I wonder if somebody's going to find that someday and think those thoughts about me, some future civilization, And sometimes I even wonder too, like we look back in time and we're like, well, that was the technology that they had, right? But then the arrows that I hunt with today would be, even though they're like carbon arrow with outsert and, the whatever broadhead that's on it, right? But it's actually primitive technology compared to like we'll say like the modern centerfire rifle. So I wonder if, I always wonder if like future civilizations would be like,
they're gonna be really confused.
Yeah, what the heck was this guy doing out here? Like, why was he hunting with this when he could have had this? Or maybe they'll date it wrong because of the, I don't know. But random thoughts from Mark Boardman there. But yeah, it's. So
you're gonna give the self bow when you gonna commit, man?
Oh, I don't know. It's that compressed timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
But
so is it the need for more meat?
Not necessarily.
Well, what's the problem? Putting you on the spot here.
I know you are. I'm feeling the pressure. I'm getting hot, Clay. Maybe this is the year. Maybe I need to get some arrows cut and get after it. We were just talking about even a little bit earlier. I was thinking, oh man, it'd be fun to. You don't have a whole lot actually going on this September. I've got a bear hunt that I'm going to try and do at the end of August, and ended up my September was left pretty open. Maybe I need to. I don't know. You think I could get that self bow fired up and going by September?
Yeah, it's going to be tight. But I mean, what you could do is just limit your range to very short.
Yeah.
And you may only be comfortable out to 5 yards, 10 yards, maybe something like that. And that's, what if that's what you wanted to accomplish. My suggestion would be probably shoot for next year.
Okay.
Start shooting, get more comfortable shooting, and go for it.
All right. Hopefully we'll be chatting here next year, and I'll have a different report for you.
Well, it's not too late to. It's not. It's perfect time to start right now.
Right.
Yeah, get that thing. Start flinging some arrows.
What if somebody wants to see somebody fling some arrows the right way, learn about building bows the right way, see some cool black powder flintlock videos, where can they find all your stuff, Clay?
On my YouTube channel, primarily, just get on there and search Clay Hayes, and they'd find it.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of shooting videos, like how to traditional archery type stuff. I've got some muzzleloader hunts on there, but I've never done very much how to. I don't think I've ever done a how to type thing on muzzleloaders. Mm-hmm. I might do that this fall. It might be kind of cool to do like an overview of just how a flintlock works.
Yeah.
I'd like to. I might do like a comparison of flintlock, cap lock, and inline. That'd be kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Show how all the different mechanisms and charges and all that stuff work.
Yeah. That would definitely be cool. Well, I'll definitely in my continued journey to finally commit to the self bow, I'll be tuning back in for some for some shooting tips, because I'm going to need them.
Yeah, from what I remember, you were doing pretty good, but you just need to work on that form a little bit better.
Yeah,
get that elbow back a little bit more.
Yeah,
same thing with your compound. You don't shoot a compound with your elbow sticking out the side like that. You got to get that thing back, get your alignment right.
All right, get that alignment right. All right, I'm going to focus on that. And for the folks out there, you can focus on Clay's content, because it is super cool, man. I mean, it's been amazing to watch all that stuff just develop over time, and you've got quite the library of videos out there now. Yeah,
the YouTube channel's really done, since Alone went on Netflix especially, it's done really good. Jacked way up, went down a little bit, and then here in the last 2 months, it's really kind of skyrocketed again. Got another, I was gaining, when Alone went on Netflix, I think I got like 40,000 subscribers in like 28 days or something like that.
Man, yeah.
Yeah.
What I like I was looking at some of the comments on your videos too, and it is folks from all walks of life. Like it's a broad spectrum of people that are tuning in. And I just think that's so cool. It's not just like, oh, this person that's like a super hardcore, like, primitive, weapons person. I don't know, man. Like it just seems like a really diverse group of folks there that are tuning in. I think that's you're bringing content and ideas or thoughts or even like, thoughts on hunting to people that, might not have otherwise come into contact with something like that.
Yeah. There's a large number of people, that, live in urban areas that like the thought of going out into the woods and just being in the woods, camping, and maybe making some basic tools or something like that. And so they like to watch those bushcrafting videos and survival type videos that I do. And I've done some of those that have done super well. Like I did one last summer where I showed how you can dig a gypsy well off of a creek. So like, if you have a creek that's kind of questionable, you don't want to drink out of the creek, but you don't have a water filter. You come off of the creek. We talked about this in our podcast we did a while back. Yeah. Dig a hole off the side of the creek, and it like the earth filters the water.
Okay, right.
And that thing's, I don't know, it's got 500,000 views or 700,000 or something.
Unbelievable.
But I don't know. People like to watch that type of stuff. And some of the hunting videos that I do really well, like the Flintlock hunt. Did one this past spring where Finn shot 2 pigs with his bow. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that one yet.
Yeah, watch that video. That's awesome.
I'll probably watch it when we jump off here.
So we're sitting there. We're at my buddy Scott Crippen's place down in South Florida. It's just above Okeechobee. And Scott's behind me running the camera. And like there's this pig coming in, and I'm sitting here like this, like about half draw, and this pig's like, I don't know, 8 yards or something. Finn's sitting on a log right here beside me, and he's sitting down. I'm standing up, and we're in these palm fronds, and I'm just waiting on this pig to clear a palm frond so that I can get a shot at him. And he's got like 2 more steps to take, and then I hear thwack, and this pig goes running off with a friggin' arrow in him. And I look back at Finn. He's like, he just freaking smoked him right out from underneath me. And he's shooting a 30-pound bow. He's drawing 25 inches. He's 11, but he ended up, you saw the video where he shot his first pig. He's 7 years old with a little wooden bow by himself. Goes off and kills a pig.
And that was like not a small pig.
No, it was probably weighed more than he did.
Yeah.
Then that was all free range. There was no bait or anything. It was just spot and stalk.
I remember us talking about his bow setup there, though, and it was super interesting how you put that together because, it absolutely throttled that pig.
Yeah. It was, just small, like as small a diameter shafts as I can get. Heavy single bevel, razor sharp cut on contact broadheads. And he'll shoot. He shot 2 pigs on that trip down there to Scott's. One of them, the second one he shot out from underneath me like that. I don't think it went all the way. I think it lodged in the opposite shoulder.
Right.
But the first pig, I think, was like a 15-yard shot, broadside shot. And I'm pretty sure he got full penetration on both sides. It wasn't a complete pass-through. But that pig went 20 yards and died. And he's, like I said, he's shooting 30 pounds or somewhere thereabouts. But as long as you put him in the right place, and especially with a smaller animal like that, like I wouldn't let him hunt elk.
Right.
You hit an elk rib with that, and you're going to bounce off. But those smaller animals like that, the ribs are like number 2 pencils. You just pop right through them. You shoot him in the shoulder, and that's a different story. But
sure.
If he hits him in the ribs, he's good to go.
Man, every time I talk to you, Clay, I keep thinking I need to put down these modern versions of, and then I pick them right back up.
Just give it a good solid couple weeks. Maybe, like I said, it took me years. It took me years to get a deer. But when it finally it's almost better.
Right.
To have to really work hard at it like that, because it's the payoff, once you put that much effort into it, is that much better.
I like it, man. I think that's a really cool parting thought for this podcast. We've talked about the flintlock muzzleloading and, primitive self bows and just the, like you said, you get to be in that true hunt mode, like all the time, no matter what animals in front of you. It's not like, I'm going to pass that one, or I'm not going to stalk that one. It's like you are in hunt mode all the time. And really, and I think you found that, and the more I think about it, like, that's really a lot of what I'm seeking as well. So identifying the why you're out there.
Yeah.
And then picking the appropriate implement to make it happen. So I like it. All right. I'm once again inspired, Clay.
Does that make sense?
It makes
the hunt mode, like this, like being in it, like does that make sense to you?
Perfect sense. It makes a ton of sense.
Good.
Yes. And I think it'll probably make sense to a lot of folks out there too. Like, oh, really? Like, what's the best part of it? Well, that's pretty much the best part. So why not be doing that
all the time?
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I love it.
That's cool, man. Well, we're, like I said earlier, we are at Argali HQ. I can see Brad Brooks out there. Looks like he's setting up a tent. I think we're going to do a little...
Getting the smoker fired up here.
Yeah, he's got the Traeger out there, and I think we'll probably have some...
I bet they done tap the kegs.
Some beers and barbecues, and that keg might be tapped already. We should probably...
Got to go investigate that.
We best investigate that. So, well, awesome, Clay. It's always great seeing you and getting to chat, and I always appreciate your insight when it comes to these things and all your amazing and vast knowledge. It's just really neat. And I mean, honestly, man, you're when it comes to things like this, there just aren't that many people with your knowledge base, and man, it's a treasure, and I appreciate you sharing it with everybody and myself included.
Well, I appreciate you having an interest in what I'm interested in.
Heck yeah. Let's go do our investigating.
All right. I like it. Lead the way.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Peace out.
There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, give this video a like if you liked it, comment something below, and give us a subscribe to the Vortex Nation podcast channel. It would mean a lot to us. Also, why don't you give us a follow over on Instagram while you're at it, at Vortex Nation Podcast. We'd love to hear from you over there, and we'll keep you updated with all kinds of cool photos and videos from our adventures that we do here. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one. Thank you again. Happy hunting and shooting, everybody. Have a good one.